Second gas. So, I guess we'll call this meeting of the Capital Program Committee to order. It is Thursday. Excuse me, August 24th, just after 1 p.m. Can you get a motion to approve the agenda?
I moved.
And does anyone happen to have? I've left mine in my printer. So do you happen to have the agenda?
I do. You want me to share it?
Would you mind? That'd be
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's
Sure.
today.
Bear with me. Okay, can you see it?
So. On our end, this meeting is being recorded, messages up. Can you see that? Maybe it's on our end.
What do you, you might have to hit okay on that.
Okay, super. All right, call meeting order, audio, video, meetings being audio, video recorded via and broadcast via the town's YouTube in accordance with Massachusetts state law. We're holding the meeting. Please do not broadcast or say anything you don't want shared. Get a motion to approve the agenda.
Moved.
PJ on your motion. Actually, we've got no hybrid, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously. No members of the public are present for public comment. Election of officers. It's that time of year. I guess we'll start with chair.
Nominate Steve Welch.
Yeah, I second that.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. On you want to share that, Christie?
What?
Just
All in favor?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye, yeah, I'll chair it, chair what?
Chair then the motion.
Oh, yes, I'll chair the motion, yeah, because you're,
Yes,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you just say all in favor, say
okay,
aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. I'll take nominations for vice chair.
Nominate, Peter,
Second.
who's done a good job.
Peter, on the serve.
Always.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And a nomination for secretary.
Nominate Christie.
All right.
Jacob.
Whoa,
So ceremoniously, basically, if chair and vice chair aren't here, you pick up.
That's fine.
Just in the.
No other duties?
Yeah.
Historically,
Yeah.
Richard was secretary.
Yeah,
for
Richard
quite a
was
bit,
last
Richard
year.
Hussey.
Yeah, the real work comes with assigning the membership to writing the report, which, by the way, Sue has done more than the Yo person's job with.
That's
Last year, so that'll be a topic, that'll be discussion for another time. Did we do the all in favor, say aye
that's fine.
for Christie?
No, we did not.
On your motion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried unanimously. Okay, great. Thank you all. We're gonna jump right into the Rory revaluations and, what we're doing there is, did anyone have a problem getting online?
So I have a window that asks me for a session code in my
Right,
name.
I think that's the perfect side, yeah.
Yeah, so you're gonna type in the following code, please. Lowercase unless I indicate otherwise.
Session
Is this
code
an email from Sue?
The
no,
last, the
from-
latest,
from
there's a link on there.
From Steven.
Link at the top.
Oh,
Yeah. It's that link right there.
And just let us know when you're ready.
okay.
Okay.
link?
Oh,
What's the code?
oh, yeah.
So the code is, hold on one second, I gotta turn off my pop-up blockers. If you have pop-up blockers, please disable them, because otherwise you're gonna be dead in the water. As I was. The code is at lowercase e, capital B, Y, 8, U, W.
Her name's in.
Why isn't this? I did a dry run last night and this morning. Why isn't this? Okay, hit the check input on the lower left after you type in your full name. That'll be how it shows
Got
up
it.
in the records. And then you'll notice there's a little bit of a pattern developing where a button is highlighted in red. So now you can press go. And you should get what is basically our Rory values. And does everybody have a sheet up?
Mhm.
Okay, so on the level 0, press the AHP in green.
Under prioritization.
Yep, on the leftmost column,
Yeah.
and you should get a pairwise comparison sheet.
Mhm.
Coming up. Okay, our tendency is gonna wanna make these things more complicated than they need to be. The math's been done. We are using the structure that we developed previously for organizational purposes, but the values will change. So let's not get, I just wanna be clear that we may end up, as a result of this exercise, be restructuring where continuity A comes in, continuity B, because for instance, say cost became a category that we valued more over continuity of services. Then as a result of this process, all the underlying numbers will be changing. Do we, actually, it'd be nice if I could put that up there, but I think we'll hold. So you don't need to really grasp that too much, just it's a background topic. What we're gonna be doing now is you're gonna go down between 1 and 6. Very simply, determine which in a pairwise comparison for number 1, whether you want to rank either group A. Sue, I'm sorry, would you mind bringing up a copy of the Rory?
Right, so we know what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
Oops.
Just-
Sure, so stop sharing the agenda, yep.
so really any prior Rory is fine.
Okay, bear with me 1 minute, keep going if you want.
Yeah, I'll just walk us through basically the process. So we're basically gonna be comparing row 1, continuity group A to continuity group B. And the one that you want to rank as higher is the one you press the radio button. And then, unless you want them to be equal. And then you will move to the right furthest column and you'll determine by how much more you think continuity group A has a rank of value versus continuity group B. These will make more sense when we have the underlying subcategories in front of us.
Almost there, in 1 sec. Just gotta share my screen again.
I was gonna do this on my computer and then I realized I gotta zoom in and all the rest of it.
So when you say how much more, you mean how much more B versus A baseline?
As
Or is
a
it A
value relative simply to one another.
But you're comparing, it's more. So is it
Yes.
the second radio button versus the first one? How much
If
more?
you believe, for example, group A is of higher value than group B, then radio button group A as it is,
And then by how?
and
I
then,
see, it's whatever you hit the radio button.
Yeah.
So then you're.
and then one,
The degree by what you think it's.
thank you. And then once you come off the equal column, which is a 1, regardless of which group A or group B you select, you get into how much more the value.
On a scale of 2 to 9, essentially.
So can you scroll up just a little bit, Sue, so we can see continuity A and continuity B? And actually, if you can zoom out just a hair, because we're gonna need to see the full sheet.
I don't,
Um,
they can.
mouse wheel. If you've got a
Or control minus.
PC. Oh, yeah, or control minus once you click on somewhere on the spreadsheet.
Really? Huh. Hold on. So you wanna zoom out, okay? Let's see if that works. Did that help?
Yeah, if you could go just one more click.
Sure,
Perfect.
Ta-da.
I learned something new, thank you.
So continuity A and continuity B are what we're comparing. The subcategories that we will be comparing in the next series of evaluations are the criteria. So continuity A, it'll be operations high priority, medium priority, and low priority. For now, we're comparing continuity A to continuity B, which is heritage, tradition, culture, legacy, and scheduled replacement. So simply what you're gonna do then is go to the right and click Your gut feeling is good on this from Dr. Gopal, Klaus Gopal, who's the mathematician who developed this software. Your gut is your best. Just use your intuition. If you want to rank these, I want to segue back, sorry. You can use whatever scale you want to use. So if you want to use, just try and be consistent throughout the process. So if you want to value these by increments of one being, 1, 2, 3, with 3 being the highest and 1 being the lowest, you can do that, but be consistent. I'd suggest that given the way the software is devised, it will help us if you actually try to use the full 10. And then as we go through this, the underlying algorithms will help us to better model the numbers. I'll get into that when we get to it. But we had a discussion about incremental value and different people use different levels. So I would say use a full 2 to 9. And represent those as a percentage overall.
Well, I have a problem with that
Yeah.
because by having scheduled replacement in B, it distorts what I would do because scheduled replacement is really important, but it's much more important than heritage.
Sure, and then this is the beauty of trying to turn an art into a science, where we have priorities developed by the Massachusetts, the compact the town had with the Mass DOR, which are financial priorities, FFPs is what I was referring to them. And we had to categorize them in some way. So operations high, medium, and low, that's easy. That's squares and square boxes. Scheduled replacement, heritage and tradition, and legacy were more triangles going into a square, so we put those together. We will work group these in the future. That's part of what this was the first rendition. Part of that may be that we're creating other subcategories so that we can compare like areas of criteria, so that they're more like high, medium, and low. But for now, we've got this project fell under something worth starting. However imperfectly.
So had scheduled replacement been in A, it would have been much more clear for me how to
Sure.
make this determination, but because it doesn't belong in B and it's in B, it makes it very difficult for me.
Well,
So then what do you, in my mind?
Not gonna
Yeah.
change in this meeting, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
working with what we have.
yeah, and I
So
think
that's-
Howard, where we are with this
understood,
is
but
that we.
It's understood, but it's essentially kind of. we're
So
bound
then
by
you
it.
just need to click a button and just live with it, because that's
Kind of.
the way it's set up.
That's how the Rorys are in general.
All right,
Honest with you, like, it's always a little bit of a
Yeah, it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's what we
Like-
have.
Yeah,
child,
Perfect for us.
stepchild.
okay,
and kind of, I wouldn't say it doesn't fit, like continuity B, the categorization of continuity B are topics that relate to continuity over time, and they are one-offs. Where continuity A are category criteria that relate to continuity over time, but they're very similar. So one of them talks, well, I'm not gonna go into great detail on it. We can figure that out again later if we need to, but they weren't assigned haphazardly. It was, we spent what? Probably 10 hours as a group.
First time we did this? Yeah.
Trying to figure out where to put things.
Nice to just say something.
Yeah,
For, Brooke and Howard, like, we are doing this for the first time also.
Mhm.
Like, this is like, I remember doing this. Like, this was done when this was established the first time. Other than, we've done all the Rory stuff, but we have not done
The
reassignment.
back end.
Yeah, just going
I
back
was,
and,
I was part of that the first time.
yeah, I was not, so.
Prioritization, the relative order.
What we're doing
No,
right
I
now.
remember
Yeah.
doing this.
you were part of it. It was,
What I'm saying is,
So I can
we
look
might
at
have done
that.
it the first time around, but
I guess
this is
Probably a
not
little
something
bit
we
better
do
than you
annually.
right,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
right,
right,
so
yeah, thank you, that's true.
We have to live in the gray.
just to clarify Christie's comment.
Yes,
he did the valuations the first round, but we don't do it annually.
We've only done it once.
Yeah, we did it the first
Yeah.
time and then we didn't have.
Yes,
software
I understood,
support,
that.
so
Yeah,
now
I
we're just
understood that.
Doing it because,
Well, also, I sort
That's
of feel like scheduled replacement is a little bit part of
Me too.
because when they do their RORIs or their recommendations, I should say, from the departments, then they're,
right,
So
that's
just see,
also, it's usually high if it's a scheduled replacement.
Yes.
so
It's already
keep,
included in.
keep in mind that we're also trying to change culture in terms of planning, so scheduled replacement deserved, as opposed to being a subcategory of ops high priority. Because frankly, scheduled replacement would fit under ops medium priority. We've actually pulled it out because it deserves its own category. Go ahead, Brooke, I'm sorry.
no, I was gonna say, we could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
But we're not changing it today,
Yeah.
so I would prefer we just
Let's
Yeah.
just do it.
move along.
Yeah.
If that's okay.
No, it's fine, and I do want to entertain some discussion, because we do have a lot of new members to the
Yeah.
group. And I think it's important to have an understanding of kind of where we came from, what we're planning to do with it, so that it's not oh, this is an imperfect container and we've got to live with it. Because that's certainly not the intention and it's not going to be the result. For now, schedule replacement, to say it one last time, deserved enough attention that it is valued as a result of this a different way, looking at this a different way. The schedule replacement is so important that it will actually have its own percentage to contribute to the overall total.
Next.
Whereas if it was part of continuity A, it would be competing with those elements. So.
In the
just-
next room.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so go through continuity group A to group B. And does anyone have a question on the process versus the actual I mean, just what we're trying to do process-wise versus content-wise? No, okay. Group A versus cost. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna go down, you're gonna compare, pairwise comparison will be group A against cost resilience, then group B against cost resilience, and then the last item, cost against resilience. So you just go through, value these out as you would consider their relative rank in your own subjective opinion.
Do we have to compare A to cost, or can we,
The way, so the
or
way
if I
we,
think cost is more important, which I do.
Then you
Then
radio
you pick
button
cost.
Then I'm
cost.
gonna pick cost, right? Okay, I just
Yeah,
wanna make sure. I can do
you
that.
could radio button cost.
Gotcha.
And then once everyone's done, there's no race. Let me know. Well, anybody's still going?
Do we wait
Yeah.
to calculate like all at once or something? like
So
that?
what's gonna happen when we calculate it is the software in the back and the algorithms are gonna say. You did perfect, and it's gonna turn green, or it's gonna say, here are some. Suggestions, because based upon the complexity of the pairwise comparisons. Modifying one or a group of these numbers will make the model more accurate, more specific in terms of values. So we're gonna, when everybody's ready, I mean, you can hit calculate if you want now,
Just working my way through.
take your time.
You're just saying whenever anyone's individually done, you can.
Maybe thinking about it too much.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, these are really gut reactions, so if you focus on. High, medium, and low. Acknowledging Howard's point about schedule replacement. Versus heritage, tradition, culture, and schedule replacement versus cost versus resilience. Try and focus on the larger picture. Keep in mind, schedule replacement is there so that it will actually kind of. Shine through with its own value at a later time. When everyone has hit calculate, please, if there's anyone who hasn't. Good, okay, so. I'm not gonna get into a ton of detail on this. There's a manual that's like 60 pages long.
Did you want to submit?
No, just calculate.
Okay.
So when the calculate comes up, there are gonna be, depending on the ranges you provided, there are going to be. Some numbers, radio buttons that are highlighted in green. What they're telling you is that. If you change perhaps one of them, so like I'm gonna change a 9, I'm gonna change a 3 to a 5, a 4.
Cause it's recommending you to.
Well, it's actually recommending a 9, but these interrelate to one another. So if you change one of the values, look through the list, I have 3
And it
that are
calculates.
highlighted in green. And I want to look at them with respect to one another. Group A, one of mine is Group A and resilience. So I want to just consider that particular pairwise comparison and see if in the context of the whole, the other rankings, that if I make a minor adjustment and hit calculate
Towards the green.
Yeah.
toward the green. And then you might make a minor adjustment on the next one. That is if it's in green.
So mine came up with no
Green.
recommended.
You're
Look
perfect.
at that. First
And
try.
then we hit calculate again.
Yeah, so I'm moving towards the green by increments of 1, and then you'll notice that actually it can change.
Okay,
Keeps wanting me to move.
And it's doing this because there's an inconsistency in,
It's recommending, you don't have to.
no, you don't
can
have
Keep
to.
yours as is.
Yes.
Feel strongly enough about
Which
it. or-
number are you filling with?
The radio button on how much more.
So you went back.
It depends.
Or it could go forward.
Yeah, it depends on which way the green is. You don't have to change it. It's just that what this is,
Oh, no, so. I don't know.
It's weird. It's just changed like what I thought of it.
Did you hit submit or calculate?
Calculate.
Calculate, so I don't know where that's. going.
so the software is
Well, we'll go
basically
back
looking
to
at all the pairwise comparisons
I
and
don't-
saying there's an
yeah,
inconsistency
one of
in
those
what
websites
you
where it goes
model.
backwards.
And these changes can help based upon what you put in. So then every time you change it, it might alter it slightly.
Back.
Yeah, it
So-
keeps changing the other
so your
ones.
priorities are in conflict with each other.
Yeah.
Is what it's
Okay.
telling you.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So
So
it's
what is it
Apparently,
saying,
I don't have. any
So,
internal
You don't
conflict.
have
That's
any-
where that's
that's
what you had
amazing.
originally.
Yeah.
Hit calculate. and just
Pure
see if it-
dumb luck,
If it comes up with anything, if not, then you're good.
seriously.
It might be,
Oh,
so.
Can I submit?
'cause I'm
Maybe
not
because I didn't overthink it.
where-
once
if you're
you
good,
are,
then
yeah,
you're
and
good.
I'm not really thinking about it.
And so then it shows down
what's
here.
good?
Well, so other like when I did it, I had a couple here that like if I had a 9 here and a green highlight there, it would ask, it'd be pretty much recommending that I move the 9 closer to the 5 to be more consistent.
You mean it's looking at relative?
Exactly. And so it's doing everything in the background saying, based on your responses, you know, this one's a little out of place, so maybe think about moving it closer. But
Right.
then if you scroll down, it gives your rankings right there and by which percentages.
And then however, every time you change it, it changes the underlying results of the computation. So it may say, oh, adjust this one, adjust that one.
It's interesting because I wouldn't have guessed the results, but
Okay.
thank you.
And once you're comfortable, again, you don't have to make changes, but once you're comfortable with it, click submit.
So what happens if you are like using a relative basis of picking your 1 through 9,
Mhm.
but you had an outlier because it didn't kind of reflect your relative basis and you picked something, it tells you that you made a choice that's outside of your kind of
Yeah, it's not in a kind of range of
your
normalization.
expected
Yeah.
pick.
What you would, exactly. And so then it's
Okay.
saying, do you want to move it to it or incrementally
They
closer
were
to it?
consistent.
There you go.
I didn't have it.
So real quick, before we do the submit, the CR number under the 6 cost, CR equals, you know, a percentage, okay? Is that consistency rating or something like that?
I think
And
so.
if so, never admit otherwise.
Yes,
Yeah, so like if you're way out of whack, it'd be
Go into the
Right.
red line.
higher, I'm
Yes.
guessing, because mine's at 6.2 and it's green and it says okay.
and then ahead. Yeah, so that consistency rating, I think it's somewhere under 10. I just randomly changed one and it went up to 19.1
And it's orange or
and
red or something.
it went red on
Yeah,
me.
okay.
Okay, so once you're comfortable with the calculations or the selections, and again, you don't have to change them, if you don't want to. Hit submit,
Uh,
the red outline.
yeah.
All right, and then we're gonna go to continuity group A,
Mhm.
and we're gonna click on the AHP again. And then we're gonna rank high, medium, and low relative to one another. And again, if you wanna rank medium as more versus high, then click on the row 1, click on medium. And then rank it to in the far right with the values. If you think ops high is more, if you wanna rank that as a higher value, then keep it as it is, and then you can rank the percentage or the numerical value.
And this is one of the 2 groupings within the Warriors, that's a little bit more intuitive, because
Yeah.
it's kind of hierarchical, or it's.
Exactly.
However you wanna,
Yeah.
whatever the right word is, but.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can go against it if you have very, strong convictions that something that's
Right, you may want electives to be the most important thing, so this is where you have an opportunity to be applying your overall subjective philosophy to your rankings for the course of the year.
someone might question why you would think that, but you know. you
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah,
answer-
yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to answer to anybody.
I'm not suggesting it would
Yeah.
necessarily. be rash.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Oh, it didn't like what I did.
Yeah, I mean, either, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I don't understand
That's
why I
lower?
didn't like it.
Like like ops
So-
high.
so-
Ops high.
Yeah.
Doesn't rate, like it's bringing me from a 9 down to a 4.
Same, but it's still saying that you think that it's more important. It's just not saying the
Well,
So
magnitude.
moderate important.
Well, so what it's doing, if I can, I don't know if this helps, but. It's looking at the overall percentage too, so it's not just looking at the percentage of valuation between. High and medium, it's looking at, gee, is this skewed so much that. That what it should be is your. If say you put ops high as an 8. Well, there's not a lot of percentage left for medium and low.
That's what you're saying.
Right, I went too high on one.
Right, I got
Right.
it. That makes
So
sense.
high over low should be huge.
Right.
High over medium should be less
Right,
huge.
right, right.
Yeah,
right.
so
Which
they
is
can-
why
That
it's
makes
that
sense.
That
Okay.
makes sense, I got
That
it.
Yeah,
makes
the
sense.
consistency it's measuring is.
We all
Yeah.
did the same
between-
exact
Okay,
thing.
I can agree with that.
So what
I feel
my,
like I do that one.
in looking at the calculated results, my schedule replacement came too low. Relative to what I was thinking.
Okay, you jumped to your one down. You can do it that way, but it'd be beneficial if you.
Continuity A,
Yeah, we're in continuity A.
sounds like you're in continuity B.
I did them all.
Oh, you've got it. You did continuity A and now you're into B.
I did that whole page.
Oh, okay, good. So you just sit tight there, sir. As long as you're comfortable with the
Well,
numbers.
there's one result that I think I don't like, so do I
Okay.
go backwards then?
No. You can address the. Criteria within continuity B, mutually exclusive from continuity A. So if you want to make a change there, you can do it there.
Do it.
In the. Heritage, tradition, culture, legacy versus scheduled replacement. So that, I mean, that's just a one. It's a single pairwise comparison, so it should
Oh,
be
I see.
fairly
It's a-
straightforward.
Right, so I can go in the green box and,
right.
okay, let me try it. Well, no, can't add it.
So do we move on to B?
Yeah, 1 second. I just wanna.
So
Sorry, I was-
calculate, make sure we're good, and then submit, and then move on. So everything. We should be submitting.
Yes.
Hmm.
And then you're, Howard already did continuity groupies, but click the AHP analytical hierarchy process button, and then you're just gonna do this group.
So like if there's a group with 2 categories and you rank 1 and 9, it's essentially gonna get 100% within that category,
Exactly,
which.
yeah,
is
so I
why
did an
it's-
8 and it came out as a 0%. In terms of the consistency, the percentage. Yeah,
Gotcha.
CR is a deviation measure.
And so if you went with a 9, it would come out with a like, hey, that might
Yeah.
be too much within that one category, because then the second.
Yeah,
one in
but
that category is gonna get nothing.
I wanna caution everybody, remember that you're selecting the one that you want to have the higher value.
Totally.
So like here, I'm
Right.
trying to
Think it's
catch
more
up
important.
and I didn't select the correct one. So before you submit, double check your percentages at the bottom. Under resulting priorities. And then hit submit. I
Like the first time around, did we use like clickers for this, like remotes or something?
think you're confusing us with town meeting.
No, but way before we had those at town meeting.
We may have done
I
it
don't
something. a little bit
remember
different.
using our computers and stuff.
Stuff in the
Yeah.
interface. I think it was like, all right, it's on the screen, everybody choose one. And then
I think.
it
we-
would like close the ranking and then it would move on to the next one. And it was like, all right, next one, everyone choose one.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it was, I remember it being very different from that.
There have been some updates to the software since
Yeah.
we used it in 2017.
Was it 20, yeah, so 6 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. it is.
So what he's done
That
is
way, I
he's-
actually, I think I like more than this way.
he's upgraded it so you can send this out to like, 100 people. And
Right.
once they understand how to do it.
They can do it all
do it
separately and.
independent-
Yeah. Which
I
is.
figured it would be beneficial if we were all here. Okay, so again, we're gonna do the exact same thing with to cost.
Hmm.
So interesting, again, costs, they've added they've essentially reduces O and M into 3 categories.
Yeah, so you're
Or 3 subcategories and reduces energy cost into 2.
right, because you're gonna compare each of these against.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Each of the others.
Right, my bad, yeah, I was looking.
So
at
they
more-
randomly.
Never mind, yeah, I got you.
Major improvement. And we can do, well, we have another meeting, if like, I'm not suggesting y'all are gonna go home and think about this, but, meditate on it or anything like that. But if you can log in with the same link, I believe, and you can look at your results. And if, you might, having gone through this once, you may say, you know what, I'd like to make some modifications, and then we can meet next week and do that to get them to plumb in time for a department review.
What is F square?
Where are we?
Minor improvement F dash square?
Oh, efficiency and effectiveness, the fields wouldn't take
Eni.
the 2 full spelling of.
I gotcha.
effectiveness.
All right, so it's. the
We
same-
could have
it's
used
the same thing.
E
Okay.
time 2.
We could have used proficient. With 2.
Efficiency squared. I got it.
Efficiency.
EFF squared. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so reduces.
Benjamin's?
Pardon me? Yeah, you can jump right down to resilience when you. get to it.
What's up there?
Insane. Did.
What cost?
Just, I knew I wasn't
cost.
doing,
I'm
I knew
sorry.
I wasn't,
This
that it
one,
was,
I'm
that I
sorry.
was doing it backwards on a couple ones, and it told me I'm doing it backwards.
That cost is a moving target. Close enough.
Yeah, part of this is in the consistency ranking ratio. It's ranking your higher valuations with more weight than your lower ones.
Sorry.
So it starts to,
Get one.
I'm glad I'm not doing math on this. Way beyond me.
So we're just doing these 6 items, right?
Yeah.
And just fiddling with having the results come out.
And then we're gonna
I would that's really interesting. Okay.
Well, and the fun is to see what all of ours combined are relative to what our individual ones were.
Right, because then we're gonna have a team. So these are our individual inputs that then begin to. And then I really can't stress enough, look at the resulting priorities at the bottom to make sure you're comfortable with those. Because even if the software is saying there's an inconsistency and you want something to be different, make it different.
Okay,
I mean, you don't necessarily have to get below 10% on the CR to be
No,
comfortable. That's just kind of
The really the driving is the ranking results at the bottom of that page.
yeah, okay, so that's,
you know, which makes me wonder if I should update.
Now. You can go back. We've been through this, it's 1:45. So we've been here, less than 45 minutes on this since we started a little bit late. You can go back and click, let me do this before I tell you this, because I don't want to screw everybody up.
There's some crazy numbers in here.
You can go back, if there's anything you want to check. You can just click on the respective AHP. And then you can go back and check. It'll bring up the rankings, click calculate, and you can look at the resulting priorities at the bottom of the sheet again. And I would just encourage you guys to go ahead and do that
Yeah, like,
before you
I was
submit.
uncomfortable with one on the and chart with everything.
The hierarchy?
Way too high, yeah, and then I went and updated that one marginally, and it had a pretty significant difference to where I'm much more comfortable with it now.
So I know I didn't explain the math in detail, but it's a little bit like religion, but based on science. You gotta trust what's going on behind it. I think we can do a pretty good.
What's your big one of heritage and tradition?
I like that one. I'm surprised it's that low.
Well,
And then once you've gone through, if you want to double check
What do you have
them,
on that point?
and then we can save the judgments.
Okay.
I don't know about this.
I mean, that's what. it
Yeah,
comes
take
up-
your time.
That's what it ends up at,
Yeah.
not much. But my continuity group B is also only 8.8.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh, do we have infrastructure improvements that don't support strategic plans?
be surprised.
Yeah, tons.
Okay,
Although I guess when you're considering every single individual department strategic plan, maybe not, but that was, yeah.
Well,
that's not
so
how I
if there's
necessarily
something
see it,
new
but-
that just wasn't in the strategic plan.
Yeah.
Right,
And so that has obviously,
yeah, so how much do you weight the long-term planning against the
Yeah, I kind of.
present?
I kind of.
desired
More
need.
even, because
Yeah.
I agree.
and on the work
Because
group,
the politics of it changes.
we would probably break that down into infrastructure. It would be improvement, infrastructure, equipment. And then you could rank the two relative to one another, and then the category relative to.
Boy, I'm still in short-term rental regulations.
Oh my
In my
God.
head.
gonna be there for a while.
There's a lot there.
I'm glad that doesn't have to come to Capcom.
It's done.
Well,
I mean, it's
good work. Although I already got a letter in the mail.
Can't wait to spend my birthday at town meeting.
Oh, well, we'll make sure they give you a little.
So you have election day often on your birthday then?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that one I was good with. Kind of nice, but
If anyone's looking for you, you can be like, I was out,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
voting.
way
so.
too, okay, so,
the other thing is, if you, like, we don't have to like power through this. You can, now that you understand what you're doing, if you don't want to click save judgments.
no, I got it, I'm playing around with it now, but it's telling me, oh, you just really changed your priorities here, what's going on? Yeah, I think playing around with it and seeing what happens at the bottom rather than trying to stress too much about what number I pick at the top.
Yeah, that's really. I
Is
think
more
you're right.
important,
That's the way to
right?
go.
So should we be saving judgments?
You can, if you're comfortable with it, I would suggest, so now you're back on the main screen.
Yeah,
Take a look at the rightmost column.
Yeah.
versus the individual criteria. The level 2 versus the global prioritization. And make sure that, like, for me, ops high required to prevent segregation is 41.6 of my overall score,
It's what? Your.
41.6.
That's a little high.
I mean, that's where mine is.
But that's our subject, that's our
40.8,
subjectivity.
you know, so it's like.
Oh,
That's why we have.
For required?
Yeah,
Yeah,
to
mine's
prevent
30.8.
degradation. So, but the point I was trying to make is, again, giving an example is go through that list and make sure that overall, your first group continuity, group A, those rankings, because the global percentage is weighted by, I wish I had a pointer.
Well, when you look at the whole global
So-
consolidation, it's good.
Yeah, the global for each of these is further weighted by how high you ranked value on this group. So just make sure that
Mhm.
if you've got something and it's like 50%. You might want to go back and say, well, continuity group A is higher versus group B and the others.
I mean, I looked at the group thing and it kind of looks like what I thought it was,
Me too, I agree.
right? Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
like ops high is first and then cost.
What's your schedule replacement?
I'd have to go back real quick, cause I just clicked into one, the individual line,
The global priority on the far right.
global priority. You first,
20.1.
global,
Wow.
wow. So fifth of the whole one.
Yeah, because I
100%.
think, I mean, for
Wow.
me, process and planning are paramount to the finances. I mean, I don't want to,
Yeah, no, I hear it, yeah.
but that's, to me, that's like, we really want to be accentuating that.
I'll just say I'm much lower than that, but it's because my continuity group B is very low,
Me too.
you know, so,
And that's because of that one item in continuity group B shouldn't be there.
well, yeah.
You
that's
keep saying
another-
shouldn't.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm home on a Tuesday night.
Right.
Shouldn't do this.
yeah. I'm like the
You
shoulds
can
and
make B as
shouldn'ts.
low as you want,
Yeah.
Howard.
So for me, schedule replacement, I'm incentivizing requests that have that.
Or promoting,
Yeah, promoting, thank you.
and hopefully incentivizing them if
I
they know you're
didn't because-
promoting.
And I didn't, because I think they include that when they do their ops high.
Right, and for me, it's more about highlighting that particular element.
Yeah, I mean, how is scheduled, how do you know that it's on a scheduled replacement list? Or that it's on a replacement schedule just because it's required ops high? And it
Right.
doesn't mean it's actually on a list of scheduled replacements somewhere.
Right.
I feel like that is just if you were running the sewer department.
Well, if I was
or
running-
naturally.
But he's saying-
If you were running it.
That's how he's trying to legislate the behavior, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is.
Right, because if you might have something where we have, and I'm not suggesting we do, but just say that flagpole was absolutely required to prevent degradation, but somebody forgot 5 years in a row to put it in the capital improvement program plan as a scheduled replacement.
I don't think Dave Gray does that when it comes to sewer, and I almost always think of sewer when I think of
Yeah.
these things, because that's like so critical.
Well, Dave says, I mean, Dave looks forward. I think he does a pretty darn good job.
He really has to schedule far out.
So. Anyone wanna
Flagpole, I don't know.
continue playing around? That's fine. I just wanna know,
I mean, I'm like,
you're good?
One little thing.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can get down to, 3% here and 2% here. It's 5% even it's
I moved it closer to the green when I told me to, I mean.
it's not gonna make a difference.
But the good thing is, again, that if we all came up with the same exact level 1, level 2 and global priority rankings, then it's like, what are we even doing here? You know, so it's good that we all
Yeah.
have our individual interpretation and subjective ranking that then goes into a group that we all.
Yeah.
Abide by.
Yeah, this solves for discussion that wasn't, not that it wasn't warranted and not that it wasn't good to share, but it was wasteful because we were spending a lot of time missing criteria because we would go off on a particular path on one of these and the others would suffer as a result. So this gives us an opportunity to create some guardrails, give us some guidance, and then later in the process, we can still talk about the details.
Yeah.
That we might want to focus
So
on.
the hierarchy with consolidated priorities for the group, everyone should be the same then. In the right column.
I'm sorry, Howard, say that again.
When you go to the project result tab,
Mhm.
that's a consolidation of everyone's.
No, if you go to view group result, but there's only 5 in so far.
So what, I do save judgments?
I'm not sure which page you're on.
So I'm on the AHP hierarchy. I've got the global priorities to the right.
Yeah, it should at the
Write it
bottom
down,
say
and
submit
write
for
it down,
group
and then I'll go
evaluation.
So I'm gonna save judgment.
Oh, save judgments first.
Yes,
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
another pop-up.
And then view group results.
You can, yep, view group, did you hit submit for group evaluation?
Yeah, I don't see that.
I got group result. Hierarchy with, I have. the
Oh,
group
no, this
results.
one's really important.
I got kicked off for some reason.
Okay, you can go back to the link and I'll give you the. You may have already hit submit for group evaluation.
I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that, otherwise it's
Now you
not
have
lost,
group.
but it's gonna be,
No, I submitted for the group.
yeah.
And
then
now
you
I
can
have the
view
group
group
evaluation.
result.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm at with the red highlighter on it.
And then my scheduled replacement of 20.1 has been tampered. Not tampered, tempered down to 7.2 by the group.
There we go.
So then this is
So
the
you're what?
average of the team.
So you're where?
Scheduled replacement, I had 20.1, but our group ranking is 7.2.
And if you want to be taken down further, I can go back and fix.
Yeah,
that.
we can talk some more
Yeah,
about that
right.
offline.
Cause I see how this works and I
Yeah,
I
and then,
just
and
feel
that's,
like you get another shot at it outside.
yeah, and what, yeah, exactly. There's more than one way to peel the apple with this, both now and during the process, when we're ranking these individually.
Yeah.
So again, if you feel, I just want to use the example of scheduled replacement, if you feel scheduled replacement is the most important. I'm gonna keep in mind that I had a 20.1 and y'all are like a third of that, which is fine, but I might rank my scheduled replacement 100% and other things might be a little bit lower.
yeah, you do that and I'll do another.
Yeah, so we can offset, it's like
my
it's like
God.
we vote against,
It's
we
like
vote for.
keep up, you know, I
Yeah.
can- I
Yeah.
can get you.
But
We should do this with headphones on in rooms by ourselves.
Yeah.
Right, well, you get to do that for your. work.
But it's interesting because when you look, is everybody in now?
Yeah,
So.
I think,
Yeah.
everyone has.
So I find the group consensus numbers kind of interesting, right?
Mhm. And do you want to extrapolate on that a little bit?
No, just two of them, one were 97% consensus
Oh, wow, I
Yeah.
didn't see
on
that.
group A,
The consolidated global priorities.
yeah. And we're pretty good consensus on group B. Overall, we're
Yeah,
78%. 71% on cost and 61.5% on resilience. So
And,
apparently we're not very high agreement on cost.
yeah, and I think that at some point, breaking resilience out into 2 categories. Will, and then not going crazy, but maybe a couple more subcategory criteria will. Allow us to come better into. I mean, look, we're a community, we live in the same community, there's gonna be somewhat similar values.
Yeah.
But I don't, the goal isn't that we all get them the same,
No, but I just think it's interesting. that
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
We
pretty,
got close on some of it.
I like
and-
looking at these relative to what we have been using the last 6 years. Especially for the global Rory, so like we're at 35.5 for ops high now,
Mhm.
and we were at 25.9 then. So I mean, obviously, based on this exercise, we're putting more overall weight on ops high relative to the rest of them than we did the first time around,
Yeah,
you know? And just seeing how that's changed. Same thing with ops medium. We have a 10 now, we have 6.8 there. Even ops low, 3.9, that was 2.7, so that's come up a little bit. And the group A is 49.8% of the whole total, and it was before 34.5%. So we're really putting more weight on, you know,
yeah,
I guess,
Wait, why my
operational.
numbers don't match yours?
Push refresh.
oh, Peter's comparing,
No, I know, but the one he's talking about current isn't what
The
I'm
decision
saying.
hierarchy
Oh, 35.5. Yeah, okay,
for the global, yeah.
okay.
so this is a great tool for everything, I mean, you guys could be using this for tons of stuff. It's free, you can put a donation in, the webpage is, you all can see it, but it's bpnsg.com. And once you understand how to use it, setting up the projects is relatively simple. And it's a really helpful tool. I've used it in community association management, topics, heated topics of like governance matters and things along those lines. Reserve calculations and where to focus monies. So it's kind of a neat tool if you're doing this type of thing enough that you want to invest in understanding how to use it.
Having looked at this, does anything surprise you guys, having done this before, based on the average results?
I'm a little shocked that scheduled replacements have dropped so much from last year.
What about on a relative basis to this
No.
year?
Well, it's because you lumped it in with heritage. tradition,
Yeah.
culture,
Well,
like,
Howard told me.
It was the first time though, also.
I agree, that's
and
why,
No offense, but like, I don't care about that anymore, like.
But-
Yeah,
A
so,
lot of those projects are going to CRC in my view, so where we are is like the trying to keep
Well-
things from not breaking.
Oh, CPC, yeah.
right.
CPC, sorry.
And along those lines, I mean, just keep in mind, we're currently working with certain constraints, and those are the restraints that the town developed with the Mass Department of Revenue as priorities. Goals and priorities. Those became the criteria distilled down and worked through the group. The community has changed. That was 2016, the select board did that process. And, you know, part of a work group might be that some of the goals and objectives, which turn into the priorities, then the criteria, also change. And this, you know, we could be changing the face of this. I'm not suggesting wholesale or not, I'm just saying that we're not stuck with, or we're not forced to work with only those. Currently, we are, because the other part of this process, just so you're aware, is the software development company needs time to change the math. They can change easily. The names of the individual committee members, they can change easily. But if they're changing the background structure, it's much more involved, because there's query tables, all kinds of database stuff.
Right.
That will result in not only changes going forward, but a lack of historical data integrity looking backwards. So those are things that work group would need to consider in terms of, is this a guiding tool? Are we using this with such level of precision that we need it to more accurately reflect the community's priorities today? So there's a lot there, but that'll be work group discussion.
Well, here's my question for you.
Yeah.
At what point is the trailer going to be part of heritage?
It already is, Jill. It already is.
So now you gotta protect it.
You know what? I know I'm on TV, but I was lobbying and have HCC meetings in here.
Yeah.
It's centrally located. There's ADA.
I
It's
understand there was some resistance.
a little bit. I'm still having problems understanding it.
It's tricky, because by default, like infrastructure improvement falls after all of these, like. It's like you're weighing two things the same, but it's like the two mean the same thing. I mean,
Well, if
one is a byproduct of the other, you know,
I mean, as I step back and I think about municipal office space, right?
Yeah.
That's an infrastructure improvement that, wow. We're wasting a lot of money maintaining a lot of structures that are disparate, don't result in great collaboration and communication among departments.
Right.
So it reduces efficiency. So there's an infrastructure improvement.
That should get a lot.
But that's why cost, I think, was not
emphasis.
as high as it
Yeah.
probably, because.
It's
there
saying if
was-
we were gonna
you gotta
fund-
pay up.
Yep.
A major office like
Uh,
rebuild.
How do we make it a priority given how this
Right. And so-
lined up,
I mean,
right?
if it preserves
If I believe it
necessary,
should be a priority.
if it preserves necessary function, then it would, be reflected through
improves
that number,
efficiency.
and it improves efficiency, and if it's, I mean, you could argue that it gets a certain percent prevents degradation. So I think that's where,
Yeah,
when we rank all of these criteria for a single project, just because something might be low in infrastructure improvement, granted it is an infrastructure improvement. If it is that important, it'll be reflected in the higher
In the
global
other stuff.
priority
Yeah.
categories.
Yeah.
So you can't look at each one in a silo, so to speak.
Right, but the one-offs like schedule replacement and infrastructure improvement are to spotlight and to assign a
Give a little-
value in addition to a
bump.
value, yeah.
Bonus.
Is it terrible if I leave? I told my mom I'd take her to. a
No,
movie. I'm sorry. Are we
Please,
good?
no, I think we're good.
Sorry.
And
what movie are you gonna see?
Sound of Freedom? about unit traffic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're only showing a couple of units.
Yeah.
I think it's the last one. Sorry.
But
No.
the other
Thanks, guys.
interesting, bye, Jill.
Thanks, Jill, really
The
appreciate your
Bye.
time.
Bye,
other
Jill.
thing I see here is continuity A is kind of the only category, those three items, that are directly spoken from each department head.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those are the ones that department that says, I need this, or,
This
well,
is
the
elected.
department recommends this, but the department's not gonna say,
It's consistent.
you know, reduce, well, they're gonna say it on their supporting information, but it just, there's a, I don't know. I see the importance of that to me is because it's coming right from the department heads.
Well, we also dropped the focus on energy consumption, which I think is.
Which is very surprising, but
Yeah,
But also, the other thing that's odd here is, as you were saying, is the number, the nominal difference between A and everything else is huge.
Yeah.
And it seems like it came out too huge.
well,
Yeah.
the reason for that, I think, is subconsciously you all are processing this, but we're working within the constraints of the presentation of the data. And what I mean by that is if you visualize this instead as an organizational chart of sorts. Continuity group A is in between SIP prioritization and the rest of them. Continuity group A is an identity with respect to the overall level of service. Whereas the others are much more specific. They talk about, is it a scheduled replacement? Does it reduce energy consumption? Where continuity group A criteria, the level 2 items, high, medium, low, they're very global.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're
And
so
they're really
comprehensive.
Yeah, they're not, like, you see them here and it makes you think, oh, they have a similar value. They're really. It's like. The capital improvement program valuations for a particular request. Continuity group A is above everything else, and then these fall in a line, the B, cost and resilience, fall below it. Currently, now if we expand this to cover. Other criteria. That have other categories, that relationship may change, and we'll have to think it through. I don't wanna go too far down there because it can be easily confusing,
Yeah.
just because it's so obtuse.
Yeah, I wonder if reduces energy consumptions come down because people see that we got the ball rolling a little bit. And we're kind of moving forward. There's still a lot to do. But I think they just see kind of they're. From nothing, kind of momentum kind of is moving, but
Yeah,
Also a lot of grant money that goes to that outside of town, you know.
that's true.
I
as
mean,
well.
so in terms of heritage and legacy, like Jill said, CPC takes a lot of grant money outside
do,
of our
they
decision
do.
making infrastructure or criteria. Framework, I mean.
Yeah, that, and I think on an oversimplified comparison basis. Having either keeping all the streetlights, we don't have this issue here, thankfully, but. Keeping all the streetlights on to prevent losing streetlights at night. Or elective, adding streetlights at night. Because of potential crime, it takes on a different nature than conserving energy, so. Well, I'm not just suggesting conserving energy isn't important. It's a different level of prioritization. And to my mind, I'm hopeful that what's going on. Is that through national efforts and even state efforts. The technologies and the equipment that are being utilized are becoming, because of national standards and
More
state standards.
efficient.
More efficient, so while this may be coming down as a percentage. The impact, because of the national standards, are actually higher
Still
than
there, higher.
anything we would do in our valuations.
and with all due respect, because I know you put a lot of time into this. All this takes a backseat to discussion.
Yes,
Right.
no,
Still.
clearly, yeah,
And we
yeah.
can, we've gotten to ones at the end of the year way below the threshold, but we look at it and we say, well, we understand why it. Ranks so low based on the Rorys, but we still all think it's something that should be
Oh,
moved forward,
thank
so
you for
it's.
saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wondered that.
Yeah, so it's not just,
Strictly.
it's
a
not just
no-
this is the
metric.
threshold, anything
Yeah,
more than
correct.
10%, or one deviation below that is out, it's more, sometimes we have a. $65,000 project that we all feel is very important. For whatever reasons, but they just don't, flow through in the Rorys and, we think, all right.
Yeah.
Based on the cost, based on the, benefits,
That's why it's not being done by AI, it's being done by.
Yeah.
we're really trying to save those paychecks that we're getting for being in here.
And like, even
Yeah.
as
Oh,
Brad,
Exactly.
an imminent threat comes up, but for whatever reason, it just doesn't track. It's not a scheduled replacement. It doesn't.
Yeah, the
prevent
dock, the
degradation.
town pier gets trashed in the
Yeah,
storm, right?
so, yeah, I mean, if you take, it's not scheduled replacement and it's not required to prevent, well, that would be required to prevent degradation. But there might be an imminent threat that it makes sense to spend the money during the upcoming fiscal year. But it's not a major improvement efficiency effectiveness, 15%. It's not a scheduled replacement scheduled 7.2, so you're at 22, and then at 35 for it's not high priority prevents degradation. You're over 50 basis points right there. That an
Get it
imminent
below the
threat,
threshold.
legal requirement, they're actually up there in the left. Say we have somebody come in and
Phased funding.
it's a phase funding project and they need to, it's transportation and they need to act on it because there's grant money or
Right.
something in jeopardy.
It's time sensitive.
So, yeah, these are not set in stone. These are really guidelines and a way for us to sit here and have a discussion about the criteria and a common understanding, but then subjectively utilize them.
Mhm.
So.
It's interesting because based on the MSW conversation, that does not score very high here. And it will need to be scored hugely.
Yeah.
It's
MSW,
huge. It's
What is
huge.
that?
Municipal solid waste,
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
solid waste.
Oh, solid waste, yeah.
It wouldn't score very well here. But
Well,
there's gonna be,
prevents degradation.
no, it's not a degradation issue. It's like you got a full stop. You gotta figure out an alternative and it's
Oh,
gonna
gotcha.
cost money. In
Gotcha.
2025, there's a full stop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So once we hit that full stop, it would be 100% full degradation,
You
wouldn't it?
don't have a choice. You're gonna be presented.
That's what I'm
with
saying.
some-
I think it would actually be 100% required to avoid, to prevent degradation, wouldn't it be? Or
No,
else-
it's you're gonna be required to do it. You don't have a choice because what are you don't have alternatives.
Isn't that
So-
what we're saying, right?
Yeah, so one, it would trigger as a legal requirement, so it
It's
could
a-
trump everything.
Yeah.
Two, I think you're looking at this, the alternative solution in terms of ranking. Peter's talking about from a different perspective, same topic is where the hell are we gonna put this stuff? If we don't rank it high, prevents degradation, because whatever the solution is, it's gonna prevent degradation, because we have to. We
It's
have
funny,
to
I want to
address,
use the word degradation, but I get what.
Well, I
Yeah.
think that, but that's, yeah, it might not be the right word, but
Environmental
it's
degradation.
and degradation of services.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
yeah,
degradation, yeah, ability to provide that service, ability to, for that operations, then maybe not that specific operation to your point, but for that to not be a massive problem that will, that will result in
Yeah.
degradation to the island
So it shows
in
up,
some way.
yeah.
And I mean, back to your point, so I mean, continuity group A obviously ranks very high and ops high required ranks 35.5, almost, a little over a third of the whole decision-making prioritization, and makes sense to me because, if something is a legal requirement or something is that important, you wouldn't want to see it get trumped because a lot of other subcategories are all ranking very highly.
Right.
So something, if required prevents degradation was a 20% and something hit that 20%, a couple others, and then there was another competing request that was 100% on heritage scheduled replacement, reduces ops, O&M, major improvements. And it ranks higher than something that's required. You almost don't want something that's 100% required to ever be below the threshold.
Yes.
I mean, at least that's the way that you would conceptually think about something that would result in massive degradation to some sort of service or responsibility of the town.
Yeah, so degradation could, I agree, point well taken. Degradation could be to a service, to the capital asset, to, I mean, it could,
To the
again, it's
department's,
we're trying to be broad because otherwise this would be paralyzing.
see it as the department's ability to, carry out its mission,
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, having never seen this before, I'm converted. I think it will work because you have the override opportunity anyway. It serves as a great guidance and then.
Right,
you
I
just-
appreciate you giving us an extra
Yeah.
meeting.
Well, I don't know, take it for what it will. So-
No, I.
Not that you were waiting for that, but
Those are
I'm
always-
just saying, I see it.
those are always the most
I
fun
appreciate that.
conversations, it's
Good to
like,
have just an honest discourse.
Yeah.
that's 3 or
does it ever
4.
get hot?
Pardon me?
Does it ever get hot?
Not typically,
Yeah, not so much between us,
sometimes with,
airport.
I didn't say it.
But
Airport was a
good-
hot topic.
it's
last
good
year.
discussion, I mean, and those are
It's,
just usually,
it's great discussion. I have no problem being swayed by I'm more swayed by a good point that I maybe didn't think about.
Is,
Than I am. I'm interested.
Oh, we need to get us, I gotta talk to Brian, we need to get their supplemental in front of us. How's it going? I'm not gonna get in, just from a procedural point, we're not gonna get into details of any one project, because it's not on our agenda, but we're talking them in the context of. the Lori.
So any municipal housing efforts will be come through this.
I think they should, I think it's beneficial to the community and,
And what's that do, town
And for
admin?
review.
Technically?
yeah.
Yeah.
We did, employee dormitories that were proposed a few years ago that. I
Yeah.
think-
Well, department specific,
Lifeguard
right?
Yeah.
Dorms, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
For where?
Yeah.
department specific. We had lifeguard, we also had.
the barracks, right? Didn't we do?
Barracks,
improvements to
and
the-
that was totally-
Sconset Barracks, yeah.
I think the water department
31, did you?
wanted money for
That
this.
was like 3 years.
No, we didn't have 31, but we
You haven't
did,
done any of the housing stuff,
not
because
recently,
it's been by debt exclusion.
yeah. Which technically
Right,
we should
project
weigh in
by
on.
project.
I think it's beneficial to the town to have us get involved in it. It doesn't. It's not as cumbersome as some people think. It is another level of explanation. But
In review.
we largely represent the citizens, even if we're, elected to the select board at large. A member of the NPDDC Barry, Jill's FinCom, and it gets on the YouTube and people have a chance to watch it. And if they can reach out to 3 or 4 people or 5 or 10 people and they get an opportunity to understand, I think it's of value.
Yeah.
Because if somebody's watching these, they're the type of person who's gonna stand up at town meeting. And if it answers a question in advance and in a material way, it's either gonna better inform them in a way that they're happy with it or they're not, but it's gonna be a better question and it's gonna illustrate points that are important for other people.
Mhm.
Instead of just having people stand up and say, I don't like it.
So I'm
Right.
guessing you don't have a lot of public participation in these meetings?
I always ask for public comment, but we never,
No.
very rarely. Only if somebody's
I don't think it's-
got a structure adjacent to some type of a property.
I remember 1 or 2 last year, and I can't even recall specifically, but I feel like there were.
We didn't get dragged into the, I'm not gonna make the comment.
Wood chipper used to be a good one.
The what?
The wood chipper replacement, like 5 or 6 years ago. We always
We were
had a good
fine.
conversation about that.
We've had some topics that just kind of go on for years. And we've always labored over what to do with them, because they don't rank high enough to
Yeah,
implement.
Heating
So
up
sometimes
projects.
those end up being piecemealed into a particular year when they can sensibly be a part of the operating budget.
But there might also be a 3 to 4 vote,
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So,
pretty split.
I love this stuff. I could talk about it all day, but I know you guys have other stuff to do too. If we're comfortable with this, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get on the horn with Barry, who couldn't be with us today. Walk him through this process, and once he's completed his, we'll get Sue, if you happen to be.
we'll know exactly what his influence was.
There's no good.
I was gonna say, it's gonna flip upside down.
If I can memorize these numbers.
I just wanna let you know that I think Barry is off island traveling. So it may be Monday before I can finalize with him, but I would anticipate Monday afternoon. Maybe at the latest Tuesday morning, I'll have a screenshot of the values for Plum to be able to modify for going forward. Is our speaker off?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I heard you mention my name, but I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I did miss part of it.
No, it looks like Monday or Tuesday, I'll have a screenshot of the values once I get Barry's.
Okay,
Um,
and then you'll want me to, again, you just broke up right there.
Yeah, I'll have Monday or Tuesday, a screenshot of the updated values for Plum. I'll send you an email.
Okay, thank you. Are you still planning the Tuesday meeting?
I don't believe we need to, right?
Okay, perfect.
If we're not Tuesday, we're also not Thursday.
All right, wonderful. I will, I didn't post them yet. I was waiting to see how today went. So perfect.
To the 9th.
Okay, so you're gonna miss
Saturday.
I might-
fire, I think.
I might miss.
Is that fire? Perfect.
Yeah, are you like someplace that you're having too much fun to zoom in?
Yeah.
So we're not meeting next,
Tuesday or
Or
Thursday,
Thursday.
just so you're aware, the 31st, we wouldn't have had any town departments, the town has other. Activities going on, department heads wouldn't be here, so.
Right.
On some time to input the values and, then we'll start meeting department heads the following week.
okay, wow, no select board, no this, it's gonna be like a
Jesus,
A
vacation,
little
man.
time off. Okay, I think we're good. I took a screenshot in case something went askew. I want to thank everybody for your time and kind of walking through this with some patience. I know it's kind of a little esoteric, a little obtuse, but I think it's good
It's
stuff.
not as much as you think it is. This makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Next time I'll bring a cup of coffee.
Ah,
Oh, wow.
bring more than one. Okay, how about with that, we have our next date of next meeting. Will be September
7th.
7th at 1 p.m. It'll be a hybrid. And we encourage you all to attend. Department heads hopefully will be here. So
I'm sorry, whenever you turn your head, I don't hear what you say.
I'm not sure who, I know we rearranged the schedule. I haven't reviewed the departments we have on the 7th.
Give me 1 second. I have it up. I believe it is, the first one's up are natural resources in school.
Okay, so that's right. We bumped fire a little bit.
They both had a conflict, so they're coming the following week.
So for you folks at home enjoying popcorn, you'll know that we'll be meeting with natural resources. And I'm sorry, who was the second?
And school.
School.
And whoever the lead, yes, we should probably.
Yeah,
try to schedule that for next week if possible.
So typically what we've done, I haven't had a chance, had some stuff come up, but I'd suggest. If you're more than one party, take of this department head, take the initiative if you haven't been in contact with the department head yet. Or vice versa, and just ask for a couple of days and times that they're available. And group CC whoever else is a liaison
Is that done before they come or after?
before.
Oh,
Ideally, yeah.
Ideally, it's not the utmost because we can always pick up discussion towards the tail end.
okay.
But if you reach out, like I was gonna reach out to, I don't know, I'm on a couple of them, I was gonna reach out to them with an email and say, please provide a date and, 2 dates and times,
Right, I need to look at.
and that'll be on a group email. Because if we're trying to coordinate with the department head individually, it's gonna be a nightmare. That's just a suggestion, y'all can do however you'd like. Date of next meeting, with that, how about a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Excellent, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Who would be opposed? Thanks
So-
again, Sue.
Steven, we have
Thank
meetings,
you.
so we would just have to try to do